While Anne Rice is best known for her books The Vampire Chronicles and the film Interview with a Vampire that was made about the first in the series, I much prefer a lesser-known work, Christ the Lord Out of Egypt, published in 2007, which depicts the life of Jesus when he was about 7 or 8 years old. The plot is familiar. In Israel, a child is born to a humble Jewish family with indications he has a great destiny. He has an uneasy childhood as he begins to come to terms with his extraordinary powers and the whispered mysteries surrounding his birth. The tyrannical rule of King Herod has driven the family from the Holy Land to Egypt, but on the king's death they return home to Israel, to Galilee. It is a troubled land under the iron heel of Rome, filled with turmoil and insurrection. Anne Rice is a writer of consummate skill. She brings to life the era in which Jesus lived so vividly that it is utterly believable. She deals with the childhood of one of the most significant religious figures in human history with a gentle touch that does not offend Christians but draws them, and those without religious convictions, into the world he lived in. This can be seen in the reviews the book received. It was generally acknowledged that it was written by an extraordinary writer at the height of her powers. The book was welcomed by believers and non-believers alike. BeliefNet, a very well-regarded Christian lifestyle website, named it as their book of the year. The New York Times, a little more agnostic perhaps, praised it for its prayerful beauty. The Times of London, more agnostic still, described it as an intensely literal, historical, reverent treatment of a year in the life of Jesus, written in simple, sedate language. I'm not a Christian, but I love this book. It's based on the infancy gospel of Thomas, one of the many gospels not included in the Bible. Early Christian writers and one pope condemned it as heretical. No one knows who wrote it. In manuscripts dating from the Middle Ages, the gospel opens with a prologue by someone called Thomas the Israelite, but no one has any idea who he might have been. Various versions and translations of this gospel, dating back to the 2nd century BCE, have been discovered. It was extremely popular in the Middle Ages. The infancy gospel is quite fanciful in many ways, which is why I classify the book Anne Rice wrote, based on it, as fantasy rather than as historical fiction. She wrote Out of Egypt after returning to the Catholic Church when she was in her late 50s. A follow-up, The Road to Cana, was published a year later. If you read Out of Egypt and want more, then The Road to Cana will charm you in equal measure. In both books, she has managed to create a character who is somehow fully human and divine at the same time. Anne Rice had planned for them to be the first 2 books in a 4-book series, but when asked about when the 3rd would be published, she said she decided not to write it because of the controversy it might generate. As she went to meet her God some years ago, she is unlikely to change her mind. Well, that's all for this episode. If you like what you hear and want to hear more, please follow me. If you want to help with the cost of making these podcasts, you can buy me a cup of coffee. Links to all the books I recommend can be found below.